see the ball hit the ball.
Oh, heaved into the leg side.
Welcome to the FourPlay Cricket Podcast.
Remember the name. History for the West Indies.
With your boys, COMMIE and KEZRICK.
Let's go.
This is the most awkward start I've ever had to FourPlay Podcast. But anyways, welcome to FourPlay Podcast. Again, this week we have KEZRICK here, my co-host. We have Jabs, as they call him, Jabbar Niles, and we have Barbados Pride player, Chaim Holder. We're here to talk a little bit about cricket, as you know. So let's get it started.
Just want to say that I don't really like to be on the right side of COMMIE.
Yeah, if you talk nonsense, I got you and grab it.
And we both know that you talk a lot of nonsense, so you might get the same
Sure
treatment.
again.
But starting out, as you say, we got two. One current cricketer, one manager / retiree.
He won't be everything.
He won't be a coach.
Retired.
He's a coach.
Retired cricketer. But well known around the cricket arena in Barbados. Jabbar Niles, Chaim Holder, as you know, decent all spinner. I want to give him too much wrong. He might consider himself, if you ask him, might see he's an all-rounder, but we never know. That's a discussion for another day. Where are we going today, COMMIE?
We can start with a little bit of local cricket, knowing that the T20, the finals is about to be played actually between Wanderers and Gladiola. Good luck to those two teams. But we can talk a little bit about local cricket. Like I said, Chaim, let me start with Chaim. How's it been going?
First of all, thanks for having me. You mean the season?
The tournament itself.
Obviously, because of the situation right now, I guess we only play T20s.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people felt like, they could have squeezed in a 50 over or 3-day format. But I guess, with that being said, you had to play cricket. 90-20 games, people might have considered that a bit too much, a bit of overkill. But I felt like...
changed.
Yeah, because, if you can play 90-20 games, you could have played some 3-day cricket too.
Exactly.
A lot of people will share that opinion. But with the weather, a lot of things happen, a lot of games were ran out. But I felt like the BCA still tried their best to put together a tournament amidst the circumstances.
Well, knowing that you play with Spartan, obviously, each team would have not have been able to got the chance to play at home. And we know this.
Yeah, the
playing
situation
cricket
at
in Barbados, playing cricket in park, you have to play cricket in park at some point.
Yeah.
Right? Playing in park, the atmosphere is completely different. How did it feel, especially playing for Spartan? How not being able to play at home in the park this year, how did it feel?
It was strange, to be honest. Like, one of the main reasons that I went to Spartan because I like playing cricket in park, and playing a season of cricket and not being able to play in the park was, it was just strange. Like, you got people in the corner telling you things that you ain't really want to hear, and you might talk about something, and you walk off, somebody telling you about this and that and third. It was just a strange feeling. Obviously, as a spinner, I like playing in the park, but
Maybe that's where you get most of your wickets, but
but I see a lot of spinners come in the park and don't get wickets too, so I don't know what that's saying.
He trying to
Listen,
don't disrespect my guest here, buddy.
I know it goes.
Pressure on
But
you, see what happened.
I don't think KEZRICK got wickets in the park either.
I can't remember either.
I'm pretty sure he actually lost a game for Wildy in
I
the
see.
park.
I am very retired at the present moment. We don't need to grab these traumatic experiences don't need to cover.
But Jabs, being part of management at Spartan, first of all, how is that going? I know that is a new role for you. It has been appointed. I don't know. You could tell me yes or no.
Yes, he's appointed.
Okay.
I would have been in a capacity to help out with Chaim and some of the others. It's going good. Working with Chaim is pretty difficult. I must say that. He's very challenging. As you know, his personality is very challenging, but his skill level, because of his skill level, they tolerate him.
Okay, good.
I like to work with Chaim, to be honest. He's...
Okay,
you could go ahead.
as a manager now, right? Obviously, you would have been a player. Different role completely. As a player, you see any manager and coach doing some foolishness, you basically want to be a coach and the manager. But stepping into that role now and having the players coming at you that way, I want to ask if you got understanding how you feel back then, how they have felt back then, and how you were able to like overcome that as a manager this year.
Like I said, it's a bit of both. From pretty young, I was in a leadership capacity at Spartan, so I would have been part with the players, and then I would have shared a kind of part with the management, the coach, and it's pretty difficult sometimes in terms of how guys sometimes would be laid back, or they would want more fun out of it. Sometimes in management, you might want guys to zone in a little more, focus a little more, but it's a young group, and when you're playing sports as a young group, you're playing sports to have fun. So that was a part that they were understanding, but sometimes you gotta take it a little more serious, your decision making, that kind of thing, gotta be a little more on point. So, but the tournament was kind of long, 9 games, and it started slow in terms of the expectations or the impact they were trying to make in the tournament, and then obviously it grew. Again, myself, Dave Marcel, the coach, we tried to help them along, and everything worked hand in hand. It went pretty good. It was difficult not to play any games in the park, as for Spartan, like, the park is like a fortress. Like, you tell yourself, you back yourself to win games in Queen's Park, and teams fear coming in Queen's Park a bit. Teams say, well, Spartan will perform better in Queen's Park. So it was really difficult playing every game out. It was still good that you could see some of the grounds. We went up to isolation. That was a ground where Spartan, it's pretty far, but it was nice. Yeah, a game where Spartan never played, to be honest. Or I certainly never played it.
Most of the fellas say they never played cricket at isolation.
And that was a good experience. It was challenging still because the game, even though we would think that we were the better side, the game came down close. So that's the whole thing about playing at home or playing away. Like, when you're home, you tend to play a little better. So that was challenging for the guys. And plus, we have some young guys. So that experience of playing away might not be the best advantage.
I was privileged enough to watch some Spartan games and see my fellow friend here, Shem, take a couple of wickets. I remember watching him against Wanderers where he took 4.
Yeah.
4 that game, where I lovely spelled that. Plinkett was a little bit late.
I didn't get to see the wickets, so I heard he bowled well.
Yeah, he did.
But I did see him bowl in a couple of games. He's still coming out fairly decent.
Yeah, but shit.
He probably supposed to get. As I say, Jobs and Shem, we would have been talking last podcast. We were talking about the CPL and how we don't think the CPL really gives a chance for each player, for some of the players in the Caribbean. It doesn't really necessarily, because you got a group of players that can be picked every single year, but it doesn't really allow, like back in, we had the Caribbean T20
development,
where you would see phase of it. You would see certain diamonds in the rough coming through that you were not expecting, and because we played 9 T20 games this year, as you say, but this doesn't filter back into West Indies cricket any far, because selectors are not going to look at the Barbados T20 cricket to pick CPL 50.
It has no direct impact on being picked for the CPL, and for me that is a downfall in terms of the system. I know it's franchise cricket, it's a different type of cricket, so it's not solely owned by the West Indies Cricket Board, and that's another thing you gotta look at. It definitely has more international appeal, but it's not the best in terms of developing our homegrown players. Even if you look at the IPL now that's going on, that does a lot for the Indian young players, and we don't necessarily have the same framework as that.
Yeah, we don't, yeah.
Because when I watch the IPL, like every team and every game, I could see a young player. Like, I'm really impressed by the young seamers and the young leg spinners coming out to the IPL, and that's good for Indian cricket. Yeah. But CPL don't necessarily develop our homegrown cricketers
based off of how the teams are picked, because that's true. Yeah, because you basically pulling from a pool of first class players. Yeah. Once you play first class, that's when you actually get the looking. You might find a little 1 or 2 here and there that you might carry on.
Picking, you got 5 teams and you're picking 14, 15 players.
I think there needs to be a feeder tournament.
Yeah,
we were talking about that. The same Caribbean T20, you don't have to play the way that it was played before. You could probably scale it down in terms of games, in terms of... there are a lot of different ways that you can make it a smaller, more compact tournament, but still it will serve a purpose to
So that
Something
How
that the
develops
West
and
Indies cricket
T20
work-
players
West
within the
Indies cricket
Caribbean.
got full control over.
Yeah.
So
They
in
can
the
actually
end,
gauge it.
when
Yeah.
you look at it, as I said, we saw some of the players that would have probably gone missing this year. As I said, you look at a fella like Zach McCaskey. He scored 100 in this T20. But probably next year, Carl Corbin scored two centuries this year. But in the end, how this year going to be able to equate to anything being able to be picked for first class cricket?
Like, I remember David Carter met 200s back to back a year.
It really doesn't, and that's the shame in it because it comes down to who picks the teams as well. And the teams has a lot of international influence in terms of when you picking the teams.
Ownership and that kind of thing.
The international influence wouldn't really know a local player. They wouldn't really have no connection to the local cricket. Probably as an assistant coach or something might come and say, well, there's a guy that has been performing. He's a guy that you could work with, but that don't really happen. That's the odd circumstance.
Then too, it goes into the business side of cricket.
Exactly.
Because you got to pick who can sell tickets. Who can win games and stuff like that too. So it is.
That's true, but you only allowed a certain amount of overseas players anyhow.
Yeah,
so.
true. It's hard. It's hard out there. Man.
When you look at it too, it's still some players that you would see that probably at the standard but has never played CPL cricket, and it's kind of hard to like. I could call one off the top, like Kevin Stokes has never played CPL.
Yeah.
And something like that, he would have been involved in the Caribbean T20, and they got a whole set of players, and probably from all the other territories, that would be good in their national team or would have made their national team over the past 7 years or whatever the case is, but just hasn't been picked for the CPL.
When I was discussing it with COMMIE last time, I was telling him that, excuse me, that there are some players back in the day. Obviously, we would have seen like 1975, 1979, 1983 in the 50 over World Cup. We would have seen a whole West Indies dominating the 50 over format. Obviously, the rest of the territories would have then catch up and become the people leading and world cricket with 50 over cricket. What I was saying now, in the last 10, 15 years, West Indies have been doing really well with T20 cricket. And it was begging for West Indies not to make the same mistake that they made with the 50 over.
A financial decision.
50 over format where you do not necessarily improve the teams or take a level of, what is the word I'm looking for?
You got time.
You don't even help me.
You know what you're looking for?
The investing of players in the T20 format. I'm not saying that you necessarily pick a squad of 30 and say, well, you only for 2020 cricket. But at the same point, we got players coming through because last 15 years we were seeing Dwayne Bravo, Andre Russell, Chris Gill, and these guys coming through. Paul Lord and them had dominate World T20 cricket, all the franchise tournaments.
Yeah.
But when you look now, and you look at the players coming through,
Next generation.
we only seeing like Puran. We ain't really seeing the same amount of people.
What you can say to that though, like the only way you can see those players is one coming out to the West Indies on 19 team, and you might pick a person on potential.
I don't necessarily agree
if
with that.
somebody performs in the 50 over, because it's more difficult. Again, it's more difficult for a young player to make his name or get picked into the CPL. Just playing local cricket. So
I want to stop you.
That's the only feeder
I
there.
want to stop you a
To
little
me.
bit. Sham, I know you might have something to say, but I want to stop and just grab a point that you say. I know you said just now about picking a player from based on potential from the under 19 stage and stuff like that. My problem with that sometimes is, yes, you give the youth the chance, but then it takes away from somebody that might have had the chance or might have now been getting into or a little before that now gets the chance now to show a skill and work his way. Because the under 19 player, yes, he can play a couple of games and stuff like that. He might not perform well, but he getting the hang of it. 2 years down the road now, he can't get that same under 19 pick.
Yeah.
So he don't truly shoot.
And that's again, it comes back to the development. Like we really don't have that development process, especially with the T20 cricket. Again, the framework of CPL is there. It's there to create revenue, finances as a business, but it doesn't really develop younger cricketers to play 2020 from West Indies' point of view.
Well, anybody from WICB listening? Have a task. You have a task.
And they could use Shem's recommendation in terms of a feeder tournament. That's a real good idea.
I think, I don't know if you could remember like when Pollard come on the scene in Stanford. Like Pollard, then when he met first class runs for Trinidad, then played for West Indies in the World Cup. I think he played like one game.
2007.
In 2007 World Cup. Then coming back, more runs for Trinidad. Then went Champions League. And I remember Pollard met some, like a 67 versus New South Wales.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
We beat Moses on Reeks.
yeah, that was
That's all you needed,
it for
to be
him.
honest.
That's all he needed.
Same thing when Narain would have played the T20
CN
down
T20.
here, Caribbean T20, but then went to the Champions League.
Yeah.
Russell played Test cricket before he played T20 cricket.
Yeah.
Chris Gill, well, we don't need to say anymore. Bravo. So it's a little difficult to use these men as examples for how a T20 player should develop because Chris Gill is 41. T20 cricket was around for 12 years. So we
been playing
backtracking
before.
into
Yeah, but they would have
28,
been playing
29. They would have been
before
playing
T20 really
before.
started.
So what I'm saying is they would have been established that they didn't need the push that players might necessarily need right now. And I don't even think, well, this is my view. As a young player coming up, T20 cricket is all well and good. But there's so much that you need to develop in the other formats to be a successful T20 cricketer. Like we see Hatmaya open batting for Guyana in first class cricket.
Yeah.
For the time he was like 17. Kimo Paul, he had like 40 wickets of first class season before he played for West Indies. So it's just one of these things that, like Puran, like I think Puran met the most runs in the 50 over tournament a couple years back, then get back in West Indies team. We see what he's doing in 50 over cricket. So it's one of these things like I think you can't just focus on T20 cricket. You got to develop your all-round game, and then you would, find yourself in a position where you could develop as a T20 cricketer.
Good stuff, good stuff, good
So
stuff.
you reckon that bowling you off Brits and flighting ball?
What you talking
Just want to get that idea, but
So you questioning his T20?
I question the T20 capabilities.
Honestly, like I like playing T20 cricket. Like at the idea, premise is telling me, like I know it was some licks. You're born in all Spain.
Yeah, you
Man,
get
get
what's
hard.
up.
Like, you
Yeah.
get what's some licks. But premise is telling me like you never really see me with this. I said, premise, what you talking about? I said, boy, it was a hot. I remember Justin Buffett beat me to a pelt in the park about 2 overs.
Right back, boy.
About 20
I
cents.
haven't seen him in long.
I remember bowling up Carlo Morris in a game down Carlton. And it was young. Like,
So you going a little
No,
old
that's
school.
a-
Yeah,
that-
you going
that-
a little
that's
old
old
school.
school.
I will always,
old school
we will
ball
always
being this.
listen. We will always watch cricket. I remember watching St. Catherine against UE the other day, and I will always tell Clinkit, you Clinkit. Some of these men come before the time. Imagine some of these men in the T20, the stage know that they play
Larry
cricket.
Bob.
I'll send the whole of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, for sure.
They may,
But,
to me, they
I
may
mean,
would have performed
The
or
thing
could
is,
have. How
that man play Caribbean T20 too,
yeah.
No, they play
That's true, yeah.
Stanford.
Yeah, Carlo
Larry
played.
But nah, that man
Larry
play
would have
Caribbean
played
T20.
Caribbean,
Scully played Caribbean T20.
Yes, but he
played.
played Stanford. That would have come
Well,
before Caribbean
Listen,
T20, right?
that game when they play against Carlo, I remember the young fella might hit me for your first six, and like last 6 we get me for. Right? I just got a clue who this man is, Right? The man walked in midway, came and said, "What's that you say?" Last 6.
Carlo the rough boy.
No, you could know who it is. 4 for 48. And I was playing for schools that time. 4 for 48.
Shem, you ever bowl that much? You ever make that much?
Probably not 48. I went with 40.
Yeah,
For
listen,
Clinkit, that have been.
don't worry, that was the last time that I sledged any boy on the great field.
No, bowling all Spain, you got that chip on your shoulder. Though.
When they bowling,
So,
my mouth shut. When they down bowling, my 4 overs down bowling, then they will tell you when your time.
It's who you support. You could speak to certain people and get away, but in the
that-
local arena, Carlo was pretty rough.
That had a
and he
game-
was comfortable in that.
Yeah.
I remember
environment.
playing a game too against Spartan, right? Because I grew up coming
Spartan,
through the
that's
Spartan
cool.
youth program.
Yeah,
Plus
yeah.
my father would have been in the park all the time watching cricket. Remember, I walk out a game and Jobs was keeping. Rahan Nurse was a short leg,
Dangerous combination.
right?
Dangerous combination.
Shammy was up bowling. I think Ears was
remember
bowling.
that.
Ears was bowling, right? The first ball, right? Man meet me by point and walking up. Man walking up. Man see Betrayed Park. Going someplace else. Right? I saying that you going to back tap my guard. I was so nervous, right? First ball, here's ball. I mean, it started 4 calling first. I missed the ball, right? Then last ball, it over, right? Jazz run off over, they go, right? Chaim Holder for don't step too close to you. If you step on you, step on your heart. Right? I see it. I'm at like 8 hours then I sleep. I never score as a part. The pressure is get walking down these stairs.
That's maybe
Yeah.
dodgeable. Like,
No,
he never score runs in the park.
Tommy, what
Spartan's a
I
different
always say,
environment.
right? If you were supposed to come to Spartan and then you make a different decision, it'd be real difficult to perform in the part. That's the honest truth. I yet to see it really happen.
Okay.
Like if you was earmarked like somebody that you somebody like the
You were trying to
spectators or the
think- trying
team
to
would be
think of
saying,
somebody, you
he
know.
probably gonna come into the part, and then like, you just make a different decision. And it didn't happen. Like you can got that pressure. The love can still be there, but I have yet to see it.
And the
Two
12th man
places.
at the 12th man at Spartan is one of the hardest. that outside the
Yeah,
outside
that
the boundary,
is an
that
intimidating
corner.
environment.
What I can tell you the most underrated thing about that, right? The opposing team just come and think that's challenging, but you see that 12 man, that's equally as challenging for the
For the
home
whole
team.
side, yeah.
It was good. Like I came into the part, it was like 16 going 17. That was my first season, and that year the 12 man was excellent for me. Like Jabbar was everything for the Spartanites, everything. If I take a catch, score, whatever the case is, I would get money, endurance, whatever the case is, I was everything. Shamar Brooks had started that same year. Me and Brooks wouldn't have started the season, but Brooks came down coming on to the end of the season or the middle of the season. So that was like a golden period. See, after that, and then obviously I would have
The honeymoon phase.
very much
Yeah.
so. And then I would have been the captain pretty shortly after that, like from about 2021.
young.
And then that was some of the most challenging times. Captaining at that age, I have to deal with Suleiman and Dave Marsh and them on the field, obviously the experienced players, and the rest of the team. And then what you all will call the 12 man, them used to be on my back.
Way late that you're all here too is because obviously Spartan got one of the richest histories in Barbadian cricket. Playing with some of the past players, like obviously you would have come into the park. I remember being in the park, Roddy Aswick coaching me, Hazard Moser coaching me. These guys were the player obviously for Spartan, right? You got Philo, these guys have been playing. We know that coming through as players and hearing how these kind of personalities were, these personalities weren't easy. As young players coming into the park, you might not have seen the same shine because obviously you might not have been around
Yeah.
those kind of players. But you would have obviously got Suleiman and the same Dave Marshall. But you, Jobs, playing with those kind of what we call quote unquote legends. How was it going into that atmosphere for you?
What I could say, it was amazing for sure, and it was something different. When I started, I would have played with Dave was the captain. Dave Marshall was the captain coach. No, Philo Wallace, Livingston Puckrin, Hattie and Graham. These are some of the guys I would have played with. I also played with Kevin Stout. Ryan Wiggins was in the team as well. So we were the younger fellas. It was about 4 of us. Shamar would have come a little later. And then just that old guard. And when I say that old guard, Vian Blackman, Rusty, Corey Yearwood, and all those guys, they would have represented Barbados at some point. So, and we came into an environment where this team was winning or challenging all the time too. So, like, you kind of get that feel for winning cricket. I would have come from COMMIE, so we would have been winning titles. So I was in that. But it's the truth.
We enjoy that.
No. Why I say that and say this is that if you came from a normal environment where it wasn't pressure to win, or you didn't put that pressure on yourself to win, it would have been really difficult to like really fit in that environment. But coming from that, I kind of understood it, but on a smaller scale. But then the pressures to win with those guys around, that was different. But it was fun to play cricket with them, like seeing how hard they played cricket, and like you learn a lot from them. To be honest, like I learned so much from Philo and Dave. Up to this day, I still learn from Dave. Dave was a guy always motivated me, always believed in me. Philo was the same. Hattie always had me at his best interest. A guy that was so quiet, being Blackman, but somehow being Blackman used to sit down next to me at times in the dressing room, and he would always have something to say, or he would always be at first slip, and always give me encouragement. I even went to Barbados Senior Trials with being Blackman at first slip, And for me, that helped a lot because those senior guys, they really help you out. That's the truth.
What I always like to say is in Barbados, we have this unique thing happening for us that we are able to see like superstars firsthand because as a younger player, you could walk into the oval and practice next to guys like Jason Holder, Fidel Edwards, Craig, and all these guys. Obviously, we don't like to call their names because we're around that age, but we call like older guard basically. Like Barbados practice is the main part, so you could go in the park on a normal evening and see Barbados practicing and walk up to these guys and be able to have a conversation with these. When you look at that compared to like places like India, like England, and realizing that we have that sense of uniqueness, you think that has been able to basically make things easy for younger players to come through to get to that Barbados West Indies?
Honestly, I think we take it for granted.
I agree too. I agree too.
Because when you really sit down and you think about Shane Dorrance, Jason Waller, Craig Braffett, Brooks, Reefer, Miguel Cummings was playing the other day, Warwick Khan.
And you're talking about this era.
I just talking about this era.
Yeah.
All right, Tino Bass, Suleiman Bang,
Yeah.
Fidel Edwards, Dwayne Smith. Like obviously you'll be seeing these fellas playing cricket on TV.
Yeah.
But they're never too far removed from you. Like the chances are you know somebody not knowing Dwayne Smith. I'm pretty sure somebody here probably has some sort of bat or hand-me-down bat or pair of gloves from somebody like that. But I think we take it for granted, to be honest.
Even like the situation with junior programs, Clint was spoken about being in Spartan's junior program. I was in Spartan's junior program from like 10. We would practice, we would have a junior program like Saturday morning, and for the first division game would be the same Saturday. So like while we on the field, the same Dave Marshall, Philo Wallace, Suleiman Ben, they would come onto the field to warm up for their actual first division game. And like for me, something like that is something I remember. I remember Sparta having 10 players. I remember being 11 years old and like just had whites, and I went on the field for like the first 3 overs. And that was ironically, the first ball of the day came to me.
You drop it right?
No, it didn't come as a catch. It didn't come as a catch. It didn't come as a catch. I take it. I went into the lumbar. I feel the ball.
Yeah, you got to lumbar.
But no, they about this here, right, Sham? I was feeling good about myself, you know. And then Suleiman, like, I just hear a low voice, and it was like, "Come on!" I was like, I haven't played this team before. Come on. I try here, like helping you.
Ben is a hard man.
And I always remember that the first time, like, at the very first ball they came to me, and Suleiman like was clapping like, come, let me go. I was like, I helping you, buddy.
Hey, man, not to cross you, but then to know you got like Shem know, he played with some of these people like Ben. We would say that Ben is a hard character. Yeah. The Corys, these guys are actually Barbados Pride coaches, no?
Yeah, exactly.
The overlapping is amazing.
Come though.
I love the fact that Ben is a coach now, because I always thought that Ben had a brilliant cricket brain. Mm-hmm. And in a coaching capacity, obviously he is allowed to be critical, not, to pull you down, but to help you get better.
Yeah.
But I remember my first experience playing cricket with Suleiman. It was my first 5 wicket off with Spartan. I get 7 wickets, and the man look at me and stoops. I was like, you stoops say that? The man said, you mean tell me you can't back power orbitola? You get 7 wickets, boss. The man's a hard man to please, boy. Hard man to please.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break now, and then we're going to return in 2 minutes.
We are back. Clinkit, put on your phone, brother.
I just
distracted. We tell Jobs turn that off too. Jobs is a busy man, and Jobs come in here. Deal with Jobs.
Why you Friday you with father? You gonna try to sleep so?
Jobs being on the outside, being in management capacity, players struggle. How hard is it to drop a frame?
Use pet peeves.
Well, how hard is it to drop a frame?
I will let you drop Sham. But no,
you about to drop me name? You know you don't fit teeth.
If I'm in a situation where I have to pick a team, it was always to look out for the best for the team for me. Whether it was, even as I say, even before this management position, I was the captain for a lot of times, or in a leadership capacity. So I always had to make the hard decisions. And if is anything you can answer wrong, jobs always to make the decision and live with it. So I always had that stance. Like, I didn't really depend on anyone necessarily to make the decision. Once I was in charge, I would have tried to make the decision. Obviously, you go to other people and for a little assistance, but ultimately the decision was at me. So I don't think it would be hard once it's something that benefiting the team, and once it's something that, in fairness, is fair to be honest.
You gotta be fair.
You
Firm but fair.
You might want to know what HR jobs on the
I ain't waiting for it, but no, it's
Right.
how you setting it up.
I asked that question.
It's
to
you
ask.
setting it up.
Right.
Go ahead.
Couple months ago, during the English series, Phil would drop a comment saying that Jason,
Gotta stop
he
picking
doesn't.
friends.
You gotta stop picking your friends. We come now see the New Zealand squad. She is not in the squad, right? How? Two questions for you. How hard might that have been for management? She might have made it easy. She might have made it hard. And two, what do you think is in place now to get Shea back in to that West Indies Test squad? Because now you got little cricket here playing on the island and stuff like that. What do you see happening there?
All right. Initially, for management, it couldn't have been an easy decision because it took this long.
Yeah,
it took this
That's
long.
true.
But what you know said is it kind of was made easy in the end in terms of performances. They weren't the best, but it took a long period because like we know the talent Shea possessed, and like we know like if we could get Shea performing to the level that you and I or everybody here or everybody believes Shea is really at. We know like how much benefit that is to West Indies cricket, and I think that that's what made it such a difficult decision because like we know the talent Shea possessed, and we know like once we could get a Shea Hope fulfilling this potential, like how good is it for West Indies cricket in any format, not only Test cricket, but again, that would be the issue for Test cricket. We saw it kind of prolonged to with the success of the ODI.
Yeah.
The ODI performances, like we was hoping that would translate into the Test performances. Again, it didn't happen, and that's unfortunate for Shea. But the hardest challenge is going to be now seeing like the whole COVID going on, the limited cricket that's going to be played. Like it's going to be really difficult to see how he or what he does to put himself back in position.
I mean, this might be the break that he needs because
Yeah.
you will see it's been hard
mentally.
coming
for
mentally.
Sure.
You would have played that English series under conditions that you weren't accustomed to being under quarantine, not leaving, coming back, then having to go CPL, being under quarantine again, coming back again. He might not have played any. Well, I wouldn't say competitive cricket, but international games or what's not, so he would have been breathing. But then having to go back in that situation again.
What I will say
Mentally.
is, when you check back over the last couple of years, and you check back all the West Indies squads, if you look back a 2, maybe 3 year period, Shea Hope probably would have been in his side 2-3 years. Well, we always like to look at cricket players as cricket players. We still always tend to forget that these players are also human beings.
Yeah.
Right? You grew up in Barbados, your family in Barbados, you got certain things in Barbados, you traveling all the time, this level of pressure on you all the time. At some point, yes, he is in the top 10 in ODI,
ODI
but
format.
a man is still a man.
Yeah.
There's only so much to go. So in the end, when we look back at this, is this a plus or minus for Shea missing out on this tour? Because this should be able to give him a level of time, amount of time for you to be able to refresh his mind. He ain't got to worry
It
about
depends on
pressure
how he
cricket.
looks at it, though. To be honest,
Honestly, he had looked like he had needed a break. He would have seen it transfer through the CPL as well. So I don't know. Maybe to me, this is the break that Shea needs.
Obviously, it's never easy when you're struggling.
Yeah.
You can find yourself in the same problem, making runs, but you might not necessarily be in the best space mentally. That's a reality situation. Sometimes you skilled enough. Sometimes it might just click. But when it don't click,
That's when
that's when the problems will come.
And I mean, you as a player, you would understand too, because not every day you come to the park and you're firing.
But let's say this, we look at it this way. But remember, Lara would have taken a couple of breaks from playing for West Indies on many occasions, saying he just need time to refresh him.
Yeah, but the struggle wasn't like this one. But again, it can be up to Shea, because even though you miss out on this tour, no, like you still got to try to get back in.
Yeah.
So you can't say that you take the break and it was good for you, and then like it can just work for you after that. Like you still got to be working on your game.
Yeah,
you got to hope that
you just got to get back in.
There's a first class season that you come back and
then you got
you
to
show
test
signs.
yourself.
Yeah, you really got to challenge yourself, and that's the most difficult part for Shea. I mean, he accustomed scoring runs, so it ain't nothing that foreign to him. But it's now how you can translate your game now, like come back to this level where you're comfortable, and then you could get back your mojo to say per se, and then go back or try to find faith for the selectors again and go back into the test arena and be successful.
Go ahead.
But I was about to say, the main thing is that I don't think the selectors would have made Shea feel as if he's discarded or anything like that. Yeah. I think it's just a perfect opportunity for him to fix some flaws in his game, take that little break, refresh your mind, come back a better player. Yeah, as simple as that.
With that said, we move on. We talked about Philo calling, talking about Shea and Jason. However, he also made a comment again the other day about John Campbell, saying that we gotta stop rewarding mediocrity. No, I had this argument before the English series. Shame you I would have had this conversation with you on Twitter. Where men would have been calling for John Campbell before even the first test started. Yeah. And they say y'all gonna remember that John Campbell before the English series, averaging 41 in test cricket. However, I haven't checked his averages yet, but I know based on his scores, it can't be 41 no more.
Fair enough.
He even get 41.
27. Probably wrong
27. Okay.
Probably wrong 27.
No, with Philo's comments basically calling for John Campbell's head. Do you think that another person should be given a run? And I don't want to ask this question because they got a level of bias here.
Yeah, so
But-
let me
give a biased response, so what?
Let me address the elephant
I am going to ask the question and let you all go ahead.
I am going to address the
If I give a biased response, so what?
Go ahead.
He is referring to none other than Shane Mosley.
But no, he should. In all fairness, when we check, Shane's
The last 2 years, first class, he's been brilliant. He ended up with most runs for Barbados one year. Next year, come back. He scored 500 runs in his first class season or something like that.
Yeah.
Shane tell you.
Excellent, man.
Shane,
And if I know, so what?
don't hit me. Wait a minute, this topic don't hit me. Point towards it. Point across the table.
I think one thing is always tell Shane, you think can come. Don't worry about it. You think can come. Everybody think can come. Regardless of what you think, when you get our opportunity, it's just to make sure you're prepared. So, people talking about John and this and that and third. John earned that opportunity,
Yeah.
John Matt runs for Jamaica. John Matt runs in A team, all this shit. John got that opportunity. No. I even had this conversation with Dorothy the other day. It's good to get to that level. But staying at that level, that's what's golden. Everybody don't do it. No. Will you do when you get out opportunity? That's entirely up to you. When you get it, I'm ready in your hands. So
I actually think that what's happening with Shane now, with him being in the reserve squad and amongst
very
the team,
beneficial. Very and again,
very beneficial.
the same way how we were saying that Shane might need time away, like Shane might need this time being in that environment to understand that environment, because he's still young to regional cricket. He's still young to regional cricket, and as much as you might perform in regional cricket, the step up to test cricket.
That's the harsh thing about cricket and cricket here. We always, as soon as somebody scores or stuff like that, we throw them in the deep end and think that they can just swim. And then 2-3 games after, where we pick him, so it's hard. And I can say this to the people: it isn't a competition between Shane and John.
Yeah, it isn't.
These people learn together, drink together, have fun together. These are two human beings that
You don't have to try drinking.
Bruh, no. Listen, I never said you assuming
Professional
alcohol.
cricketers, man.
You
You could be
assuming
drinking
alcohol.
water or lemonade.
You understand?
Them niggas on a lot of sugar. You have professionals on what you drinking that. But go live it anyways.
It can be natural, man. Natural juice.
We looking at this squad, right? You would have been England. Obviously, we would have played. You know the 4 pound that we would have played. However, coming back out of now, we probably realized maybe we should have give like a guy like Chaim Holder a run out. We're going to New Zealand, or we're in New Zealand. Obviously, is one of the better places to bowl as a fast bowler. Do you think in this Test series now, Chaim should be given a look in and being able, because he's been bowling really well in the first class arena. He inside the CPL, he still look sharp, still look the bowling quick. He come back and he play a couple of T20 games, he still look he got it. He ain't look he dropped form, nothing like this here. But how much Tests he playing? Two.
Yeah.
Two.
Hard.
Makes it very difficult.
It makes
for
it
him.
very difficult.
So you gotta
Very,
look
very
in.
difficult. But with that being said, I think it's Kimar, Alzari, Shannon, and Jason.
Once fit.
I mean, once all that fit, they can
Force
play
the logo.
first.
Tough.
That's the reality. You ain't gonna really play a spinner in New Zealand. You know, you got Roston, so
We would have been talking to a player that would have played that series in England, and he gave his opinion and said that he would have probably played Shamar
the second
in the
test.
second or the third.
Yeah.
Give somebody a break. Shannon now coming back from injury. Alzari looking a little. He would have probably thrown Shamar down.
But it's difficult to say that when Shannon get money matching first.
And
after
Like,
winning the
once-
first
when you
game.
feel
Exactly.
good, when you bowling good, you want to play cricket.
Exactly.
Even if you know you might be a little sore, but if your ball coming down right,
It's hard.
coming down right.
It's always hard to see it. We always hit with the what ifs, what this, what that. In the moment, in the heated moment, we got 2 tests to play.
Yeah, and New Zealand's a very strong side up.
Very, very, very
Right.
strong. So you're gonna want you.
Very, very strong test side altogether. So it doesn't really matter. With that said, we move on to the T20 side.
Let me say. Another man that I being biased with Bajan bias over here. I want to see Dapper.
You want to see any side?
Cal
I talk with his squad.
Mears.
You talk with his squad.
Oh my word, a lovely player.
Jumping gun.
Love it, man. I am being biased over here, click it. I ain't care.
Play Cowboys on that wicket. So, anyways, see Dwayne Bravo drop out.
Yeah, he injured.
Yes.
Injured, sorry. Baron Mario Shepherd. But you got Jason on tour. I believe that Jason should have been given looking. I still feel like there's a lot that Jason could give to us in the T20 arena.
That we love
And I still
us,
feel
yes.
like he can give me more than Mario Shepherd. But I want y'all comment on your take on it.
What I think is with Jason playing IPL, I think that would be a perfect opportunity to get Jason back into
Test
playing
his skills
T20
again.
cricket for West Indies. But Jason play all 3 formats. So,
But they last tour for a year.
And not
But,
only that,
I mean,
but it's
that's
only
not-
tests on T20s.
well, that's true too. But
Then he's carrying
I mean-
the extra man. Basically, you carrying the extra man down in New Zealand. Basically, when you got a guy that could probably fulfill the same role
Well,
for you or better. When you
I
look
guess
But what you can say,
Yes,
the
two sides.
T20 team can be the most interesting team on this tour in terms of the performances and assessing performances, mainly because the World Cup coming up. The World Cup coming up, and to pick the World Cup
when
team.
the World Cup is?
Well,
I don't
right-
know the dates for
It
the
take
They
it-
didn't
They-
finalize, but they
next
would have
year.
switched the
For this year.
territories. They would have switched, so I think it's
I mean,
supposed to be.
so we World Cup is no?
It's supposed to be in India. I
In
think
India.
It's
In
supposed
India
to be
now.
playing in India now. Right. So
And we know
Again?
Again, going to India.
when you look at the composition of our team, like they can got 1 or 2 players that they need to perform to a serious standard. These 2 games to
I think this
really
series.
solidify-
I think this
Some of
series.
the
solidify
bigger
their
names,
names.
obviously, because we would have seen Lando
But
probably.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see a couple of T20 series popping up in between.
Yeah, for certain.
The West Indies.
Preparation. It's always good to have all the games when you're preparing for such a big tournament like
But
the
with a
World Cup.
guy like Gil, no, we could talk with Gil
he made
Yeah,
99 today.
99.
No, made 99 today.
and come back in T20
I
selection.
picking
coming up.
Gil.
Listen,
I
I see
picking
Gil.
Gil.
you see,
I
when
listen,
that
I
Chris
pick
Gale
Gil.
retire, right? We can miss Chris
I
Gale
picking
so bad.
Chris Gill. But again, our
can
batting,
miss Gill
our
so
batting
bad.
is something that once everybody's fit and available,
Tough.
that first seven.
We were
is-
talking about it
is
this
something
morning.
serious.
We were talking about it this morning. Who would be the first 6 to play. And we were saying Brandon King Fletcher. You got poor
in this series.
This series.
Come on,
this
man.
series. Don't do that, man. Like Evan Lewis and Chris Gill can still be there. Come on. But you
Still got Lando Simmons around.
Evan Lewis game.
No.
Why
He's
not?
still injury.
So you understand the hard but still great decision that these West Indian selectors face themselves.
And that's why, like, just now, like, all right, you probably don't favor Romario Shepherd, but to have one more person
in the
pool to have a look at, because this team can be very challenging to select.
That's what he's saying.
You could say don't favor him.
No, I said me and not.
How you can say this? Jason went in last T20 worker, right? As far as I'm concerned, he was in squad. He did not play. He went. Obviously, Carlos would have played. Carlos got you looking at him. But this is what I'm saying. If Jason is supposed, you had this conversation earlier as well. We were saying certain formats just take a little while for you to develop.
Yeah.
At T20, Jason considered one of the better all-rounders in world cricket.
And I think Jason got a pretty good record in CPL too.
Yeah.
With the ball.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
he had
CPL,
more
no,
wickets
like-
the tournament before.
The tournament
Even though obviously he would have replaced. I think he was
Mitchell Marsh.
Kumar.
Yeah.
He had replaced.
No, Mitchell
Mitchell
Marsh.
Marsh.
Mitchell Marsh. And then he started a couple of games ago, and first game was the man of the match. And you can see now that he actually performing for Sunrisers. It's a pity that they're in the bottom half of the table, and he didn't really start the tournament. But you could see that he's comfortable playing there, and you will look to these performances and say, well, he should be in the T20 team. Obviously, the West Indies team was selected before he actually played the game, and then it probably was to give him a little more time, because obviously he can lead the test team, so that might be a situation there. But he isn't doing any harm in terms of his performances in the IPL, and that's something on the biggest stage right now. So everybody can be looking at that in terms of when the team being selected.
How many men in both squads? Test and T20.
I think about 16 actually. And then
how many people in the test squad and in the T20 squad too?
The interlap.
I can't remember. I know this.
But this year is a pretty open squad that somebody could play.
It's actually not all.
It's only the test side.
The test side is actually really different to the.
So
nobody
is you got when you look
I
at
think
it
there might be
total,
a short
no,
changeover between series.
Yeah,
Right. So nobody. The only persons that are
logistically
playing
it might
tests
be a little different.
Is
Difficult,
Hetmeyer.
sorry.
I believe is Hetmeyer.
Bravo is in too. Darren.
Darren isn't in the T20.
Kimo Paul.
Kimo is playing. And
So it's only two of them.
it's only two of them.
Only two of them.
Shannon isn't playing T20 or anything.
Nah.
We can do with it.
Yeah, because we going with you can ask me what you do it right, but he can tell you what you can do with somebody there. They can call him in.
But you know who you want. I just
Okay,
made
no
it on
problem.
it. I was know about the same when we get away. And it was the leading to that same. We got a couple of fans who y'all say that they need to perform in this series.
He needs to give me something.
One
now
of these
or never.
players, I believe, coming one call is KEZRICK Williams. Right? He don't like he. If he want to call it lawyer for me, he don't like the man as a West Indies bowler.
Anybody can let me.
What you can say about KEZRICK Williams, right? It comes down to
call my lawyer.
preference and personality. But what it is that KEZRICK has probably the best record right now out of anybody playing West Indies cricket.
Thank you.
And if it was anybody else with that record, this body would have been penciling for the World Cup without any discussion. But because, again, personality, preference, he's on the edge. And
You could be
his
correct.
No, if you look at his average, his strike rate, he has like 42 wickets or something, like 25 games. Like, if you bring any international T20 bowler, it's hard to beat that record. Again, he's not favored by most, but if you put that record with anybody else, if you put that record next to anybody else,
listen, honestly, I don't
glorify.
know what it is.
You don't like
But
master. You don't like master.
There's something about him that I just cannot stomach. And the thing about it is that I just cannot stomach. It isn't that I do not know this man as a person. So I'm not speaking on this person. I mean, he might be able to drink.
their preference and personality.
Cricket. When I'm speaking cricket, to me, after you've played so much games, you should be able to read cricket a lot better. He does not read situations. That he does not read cricket well.
Cricket is one of
But if you look at his record,
It's
that doesn't
hard.
reflect what you're trying to say.
No, it's not. Listen, I watched that CPL final and I was very annoyed. I remember watching at Copa.
Oh yeah, these Zooks.
I remember watching at Copa and I said to Clinky, this man is gonna come. This man's gonna go just sharp.
I mean, yeah, he would in the final. He was the man that probably leaked a little too much, but
and then it
does
caused
that happen. That's
But you can't
very
look
often.
past the record that he has. You can't, like,
But
a man might say somebody is not the best. But when you look at his record at international level, like, you really can't say anything that bad about him. Because, you can't go that bad
at
at him.
record at international level.
Yeah, the T20 internationals.
Oh.
Right, I'm not necessarily talking about CPL.
France.
Because I'd be talking, as I say, as a West Indian bowler, in terms of his West Indian record in the internationals, like, he probably has the best average or
But I know when you're picking teams and that kind of thing, a man might got 20 wickets, fella might got 16. When you look at how this man get these 16 versus how this man get 20,
We were talking.
you might think the man with 16 wickets might be a better fit for what you want. But like I said,
So it might be that West Indies are going for the wicket taker no matter what, even if he goes at 15
I think
and
that-
over.
yeah, but if you don't like the monster,
think that
the
West
monster,
Indies-
the monster.
I think
listen.
that West Indies are creating a wide pool to pick from. That's why
Wait, who he's been
You
there
should.
forever.
You should.
he was around the setup before.
Okay, fair
He
enough.
didn't
fair
have. When you
game.
look at the CPL, he didn't have that bad of a record in CPL this year. I think he had like 13 wickets or something.
With that being said,
The man here right
the
to
man,
hit, but
he has
he
to
right to
be.
hit, but
Listen,
COMMIE.
he has to be good enough to be making a West Indies.
Yeah, of course.
Fine.
Once you play, listen, I tell somebody, see
He
that.
has to be good enough.
Anybody play first class cricket, cut above club cricket.
Yeah.
Anybody play West Indies, cut above first.
That
class.
question-
Don't
He
care.
has to
That
be
could
good
be
enough. Don't care
questionable
if I don't
I can
listen.
show you why.
Yes.
I can show you why. Because
Sean Finley played for West Indies, right?
that contemplate when they met last year, you know, I was like, shh.
But hold on.
But Sean Philly.
But hold on.
But Sean Philly played for West Indies, though. Anyhow.
Hold on. You're going to say that Sean Phillips played for West Indies. But Sean Phillips played with the normal players too.
But we know, we
That was a
If
captain's
you know where
pick.
Sean-
That was a
You can
captain's
say that was a
pick. That was a
captain's pick, but
captain's pick.
so what?
That was a
He has
captain's
to be
pick.
good enough.
I remember he took
Sean Philly got
a
a few good
fantastic catch up UE in the final.
Oh, so we picking.
That's what you can say. He took a fantastic
I
catch.
think Sean Philly had a moment in international cricket, though.
He did.
Like a 40 cent or
He
something
actually
like
has a
that.
50.
All right,
I believe that he
against
actually has a
Australia or New
century
Zealand or
on
something like that.
So when
Pull
you
it up.
say A, you must
Let
say
me get
B.
here fast. That 50
The man has to be good enough.
Nah, you see that 50 there? Let me see that for myself.
I believe that.
Let me see that for myself.
I was remembering 40 something, but it could be 50. It could be 50. I was thinking 46 or
And Sean Philly didn't play that much for Jamaica.
I
I think Sean Philly
It was
probably
just
played
pretty
like
much
20,
that
20 this year games.
11 first class games in 20 hours.
20 this year
The
games.
point is when he got the chance to
he
play for
actually
West
scored
Indies.
59.
My man 50
Correct, he
versus
has
Australia or
when he get
something
the
like
chance to
that.
play for
Ran
West
hard
Indies,
between the
whether or
wickets.
not he played 2 games for Jamaica or 1. When he played for West Indies, he showed a little bit of grit here and there.
But how you can be bashing KEZRICK and like you kind of
I didn't tell
pro?
No, I am
Yeah,
back.
Sean Philly, I didn't understand.
But
Once you
what I'm
play-
saying to you, I'm back in the statement that Shem
Once
was
you play
saying.
international
Once
cricket,
you're
you're a
playing,
cut above.
you're a cut above. You
Once
you
you
must
play
be.
first
And I
class cricket, you're a cut above club cricket.
I said,
20
KEZRICK has to be
20
good
this
enough.
year games, though?
KEZRICK has to be good
Yeah,
enough
that's
because
2
he's
seasons.
playing for West Indies.
Yeah, but yeah,
So
true.
even though he might
Well,
drop
but then
these
that's
comments
like
saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
true.
he's
That's
this
all
and he's
true.
that," he has to be good enough.
352 runs.
And given
27.
Sorry.
given anything, I will back him. If I get he get the last over in the finals of West Indies T20. God, don't let this ever happen.
Exactly. You're
But
back him, I'll bring you back him.
if it happens, I can back KEZRICK.
The man turn up, we last over. You and said, "Geez, on we lose this."
I remember we played
I will
India.
not say it because I even want the best.
I
but
remember we
don't
played
want-
India and they had a game. Kohli was giving him some
KEZRICK
tap.
was getting
And then KEZRICK out Kohli. And I was so disappointed that KEZRICK ain't tackle he butt and right to
Yeah,
Kohli.
yeah.
Because like do
Nah,
that.
he had start doing that after that Chadwick situation.
No, he did it after Chadwick, but
You
I
know the
remember
Kohli got Kohli do the same thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kohli do
When
it.
Kohli met
So
like
when you
same,
when you get
100%
Kohli
like
out,
that, yeah.
dude, keep your personality. Keep what
But
like
that's not his
culture get always
That is
salute.
something he did.
Culture get always
It's not a-
salute.
It's not a personality.
Culture get always
trait.
salute. Culture
did
get
that.
always salute. Keep doing that.
Salute is not personality.
Don't be talking. No, you're trying to be a clown. But you're a clown. You're a clown too, but you're trying to be a clown. But we just
You
mean
know, that's
like
how he say,
your aggressive personality in terms of your ball and keep everything going. Like I remember it would have been said that the team told him to tone it down or something like that. So when he got a wicket, no, like he wasn't showing that enthusiasm or something. Like I don't want like maintain what you've been doing.
Yeah, I understand. What's you gonna say, Commie?
Well,
I know you.
I want just apologize for being so harsh on KEZRICK.
You ever get
my
money in
body
the crowd? You just know his man.
I can apologize for being so harsh. However, I still have my preferences on how cricket should go and how cricket should play, and I will stick to my preference.
If you want to be pretty,
Guys.
pretty big camera talking, also, you apologize again. Model, so you checks, you do it, man. You do it, man.
As a cricketer,
As a cricketer, sorry.
good.
Everything
I'll call my lawyer for you. As a cricketer,
All they leave, boy.
walk on your lawyer.
Call you walk on your lawyer, man.
got nothing of them
You
too.
lawyer, you lawyer. Covid, you lawyer hard, though.
Got nothing of them.
Try to find work for your lawyer.
Can't advertise in Barbados.
Anyways, I feel like we cover everything here today.
Right, so Jobs,
I call you man correct here. No, she's on my mother gear.
Jobs, are you
Jabbar
comfortable with me
Niles.
calling you Jobs?
I'm comfortable. Like,
Jobs.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, but
Jabbar
Jabbar
Niles.
Niles. Some like that. Don't be telling me my jobs.
Lex, Chaim Holder, Jabbar Niles, thank y'all for coming to FourPlay Podcast.
Yeah, thanks
thanks for having us.
Good
You
man.
may. I want to see you have it back, but I don't really know. You know what I mean? You gotta see. You gotta look at your schedule. You gotta look
Yeah,
at
and tell Chaim how long you
But-
gonna like your
And I tell you, you know, you gotta call me lawyer for you. I never said. I never said that. I never said that. I never said that. I'm pretty sure I said Chaim was a very decent officer. Hey, better than decent.
Decent,
I ain't getting you know.
Maybe you used to got me banter back in there, man. You used to got me.
Yeah.
battles.
But with that being said, guys, that is FourPlay Podcast.
For
Thank you
today.
for being here. Thank you for watching. Also tune in, follow on Instagram, and again, thank you guys.
Y'all signing me up? I keep thinking. Thank you for having me. Apparently, it was a guest too.
I don't have anything to do with
All right,
us.
man. Thank you.